Hi, and welcome along to AFTV. We're going to preview the game right now. Southampton versus Arsenal. I've got a very, very special guest with me. It's the Ugly Inside. Right now, if you don't know who the Ugly Inside are, they are Southampton's biggest YouTube channel. And if I want to get the insight on what's going on, I've got to check Freddie and find out what's going down. So, Freddie, welcome along. Southampton. Been a bit of a bogey team for Arsenal over the past few seasons. We drew there last year. I remember coming there on Boxing Day, that horrendous performance we put in that time when we got beat 4-0. And yeah, Southampton's been one of those teams that we've really found difficult. You know, always done well against them at the Emirates. But every time we go to St Mary's, big problems. However, you guys have had quite a lot of problems this season. You've just sacked Mark Hughes, of course. You got a brand new manager in. I hope you pronounce his name.
I've been practicing, mate.
Go on, give it to us.
So the new manager, Austrian Ralf Hasenhüttl.
Right, I'm going to make sure you said that right. But you could have that bounce from a new manager. You did have a decent performance in your last home game where you played Man United. You're winning 2-0, ended up 2-2. What can we expect from Southampton in this game?
Well, difficult to tell, really, mate. The new coach has only had, this would be his first full week of training. He only had sort of 48 hours to prepare for Cardiff last week. By all means, that performance was, players that didn't have enough fitness in them to play 2 games that week. We had to go up to Tottenham last week on Wednesday. By all means, we looked quite progressive going forward. Mate, had some good ideas, kept the ball quite nice, and we had most of possession on Saturday at Cardiff. But we weren't quite clinical enough. But once again, it is individual errors that have been letting us down. Last week, magnified by Vestergaard's giant mistake. All 6'7" of him scuffing his lines, inviting Patterson in for the goal. But it's not just been him; it's been Wesley Hoot, it's been Yoshida, it's been a till roll of errors over the last sort of 2 years or so. Whilst we've had Puel, Pellegrino, Mark Hughes, and no one's really addressed it too much. So this new coach, his biggest task is going to eradicate those errors. But one thing I want to touch on as well, when you came to St Mary's a couple of years ago when we hammered you 4-0 on Boxing Day, that was one of our worst runs under Ronald Koeman. I think that was our only win in about 10 games. So maybe we could try and sneak a win again this weekend. I'd love that.
Yeah, I remember on that day, I can't remember the name of the guy who scored that screamer.
Martina.
Yeah, and I remember a Southampton fan saying to me, he goes, listen, I never even knew he had that in him. He's been one of our worst players. And he scored an absolute screamer on the day. And you put in a great performance. And yeah, you do make a good point with that, that you were on a poor run. But at the moment, I think this is even a bit worse because now you've got a lot of pressure on you because you're right down at the bottom. You really need to start getting points.
Yeah, that's right. The last we're without a win since September in the current season. We've only had one home win in an entire year. So by no means St Mary's is a fortress for us. It used to be under Koeman, Pochettino. Adkins to some degree getting wins against top sides. But we've just looked totally toothless. We've been so fragile at home over the last few years or so, and it's been an accumulation of errors, across the last few managements. But St Mary's, what I hope from the crowd is that we get behind this new manager. We create a hostile atmosphere and actually kind of put a bit of fear factor into the team. The new coach has got his work cut out with the squad. Some of them look a bit lazy. Some of them look a bit disinterested. And he said in his conferences and his interviews the last week or so, it's basically my way or the highway. If the players don't like my style, I can show them the door. And some of the players have already been out to our local press and said, the intensity has doubled, tripled. There's so much more in training, and he's also cancelled their day off for them to come into training this week. So he's getting as much as he possibly can to prepare for this match on Sunday.
What have you made of Arsenal so far this season?
Slow start. You thought, obviously, Emery might have a long time to adapt to the Premier League, but really, was it 21 games currently unbeaten in all competitions? So, you're on top form, and players like Aubameyang, Lacazette, could especially exploit some of our defensive errors. We don't look too fast at the back at all. Vestergaard's got the pace of a snail. Yoshida's always prone for an error. Wesley Hoot, not the fastest either. Jack Stevens, probably one of the paciest. And we've got young Jan Bednarek. So, that's the area that's certainly our weakness, what some of your fast forwards can take advantage of. But I've been mightily impressed by some of the new lads coming in as well, and the systems that Emery keeps changing. You said on our show just a few moments ago that Arsene Wenger was always afraid to change his system. Emery doesn't seem to be afraid, and he seems to be taking the league somewhat by storm, creeping back Arsenal up to contentions of the titles.
Great point. What's the strengths then of you've spoken a lot about the weaknesses in defence for Southampton, but what are the strengths? Where do you think? Where's the danger lie for Arsenal with Southampton?
So two players in particular, I think it's going to be a heavyweight clash in the middle of midfield on Sunday. The two players for me at the moment looking really great. Mario Lemina, signed from Juventus the season before last. Looks great with both feet on his day. He can be a world beater. Signed from Juventus, from Marseille before that. So he's got quality in him. It's just when he decides to turn it on.
At one time.
Yeah, so there was a lot of interest around Lamina before he signed for Saints, so he's certainly got that quality in his top drawer, But one player for me really, recently taken the armband off Ryan Bertrand, partly down to circumstances. Whilst Bertrand's been injured, he could be a doubt for a Sunday, but we'll see what happens by the end of the week. But Pierre-Emerick, for me, is one of the best midfielders we've seen. Not only his passion, but his tenacity. He crunches into every tackle. So, your forwards and your midfielders better have their boots strapped up, because Højbjerg will be crunching into your ankles.
Will it be a good clash between Torreira and Xhaka and those two? I think, that's going to be a really, really good midfield clash. And then up front, Charlie Austin has been a bit of a strange one for me. And I thought he would come in and score lots and lots of goals for you. And then there's Gabbiadini, who, when he first came in, he was on fire. But both of them are a bit misfiring this season.
Yeah, so Charlie Austin, Gabbiadini, both of them been in and out of the side. Obviously, Danny Ings came to us in the summer. He's recently been out with some injuries. So, who knew? Danny Ings couldn't stay fit. Same as Charlie Austin as well, really, to a degree. But Austin knows where the net is. He had sort of one chance or so on Wednesday at Wembley. Strangely beating the offside trap. We never knew that he had it in him, but he knows where the goal is. Charlie Austin, give him a chance in the box. He's a 18-yard box striker, and Gabbiadini, hugely underplayed, hugely undervalued, let's say. And I don't think any of the managers over the last sort of 2 years have known his best position. Puel got the best out of him when he came to Saints, scoring 6 in his first 4 games. We thought, great, we've got a fantastic striker on our hands here, but nobody could utilise him to his best ability. For me, if we play Gabbiadini wide right when he cuts in on his left, there's where our positivity could be. That's where where we could exploit some of your fullbacks.
And of course, there's also Nathan Redmond in there. Is always a danger.
Yeah, so Nathan Redmond, at the beginning of the season, he looked like a totally different player. Taking on players without fear. Playing with his head up. The last season, perhaps you could even draw back to season before that, where he's total lack of confidence. But he went away in the summer to this US training camp, went away in his own fitness regime, come back a sharper, positive, fitter, stronger player. Recent weeks he hasn't quite looked up to standard, but that goes with the territory of not winning games and not creating chances. But he's getting into the right areas of the pitch, getting down to the byline, taking on players, and certainly one to watch. But we'll have to see what happens to Redmond. Okay,
give us your prediction.
So, like I say, it's going to be a tough week for Hasenhüttl to implement his ideas. I'd love to create an atmosphere, make it hostile, and that's the most important thing for us as fans is to get behind him, giving him backing. I don't think we'll take much. We've got a terrible record against top 6 sides, and I think it's still going to continue on Sunday. Arsenal look on fire, scoring, left, right, centre. You got Aubameyang, one of the top scorers, so I think Aubameyang probably going to score with a 2-1 victory to Arsenal.
Oh, okay. Well, I hope you're right. And then, after we beat you, then you make a full recovery and get out of trouble. But looking forward to seeing you on the day. I'll be down there. So looking forward to seeing you on the day. Listen, thank you very much as always, Freddie. And I wish you luck after the game.
Thanks, mate. And I hope Saints, let's hope we take some points off a top 6 side, mate.
Yeah, not us.
Cheers, mate.
Take care.